Hey, 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 good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Joy Life Center. It's me, your life coach, Andrea Jackson, and we have people that's waiting to chime in. You often hear me talking about breaking cycles. We're going to be talking about how to do that today. So just hold on a second. It's a wonderful Tuesday. So let's get it into our life change. Hold on one second, guys. Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
beautiful.
Hey, gorgeous. How you doing, Miss Lupe, Miss Susu, and Miss Bianca? Good morning, guys.
Good
Morning.
morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Well, we are going to be talking about breaking the cycle today. We're always talking about, hey, let's break these cycles. Let's destroy these chains. Let's come out of the cycle of sameness. How do we break the cycle? Well, we're going to talk about that today. But before we get into that, I want to hear from you. How you doing? Where you at? How's your mental health? How you holding on to life? Are you coping? Here we are in the 10th day of January. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Or is it so beautiful? Is it a pushing day in the neighborhood? Is it a day of challenge today? Do I have burdens setting upon me? Where are we today? Let's go ahead and check in. I think Miss Susu was first, Sister Lupe, and then Miss Bianca. Let's go ahead and check in that order. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Jackson. Good morning to all in attendance. I feel good today. Shoot, I just thank God for this day also and the extra joy this morning. I wish my son a happy birthday.
Oh,
I'm getting the years mixed up and he getting the years mixed up. I said, we got to get the calculator out. But I feel so good, shoot, this day, God blessed me with a son. And I just thank God. I thank God for my daughters as well. But I thank God for my baby boy. God bless you. And
how
I'm
old is
doing
your
good.
son
I'm
today?
good.
How old is
I
your
say,
son today?
I said 55, 56, or 57. I still ain't got my calculator out, but I think it's 55. If you know him, you might know him. What is his birthday? You know what his birthday is?
Who's your son? But I think he's 56. No,
5, 6, 5, 6. That's a shame, but as I say, charge it to the head, and keep
that's
on
not a
living.
shame. That is not a shame, Miss Susu, because guess what? When life just becomes abundant and abundant and abundant, we don't spend time tracking years. We enjoy moments. So I love that.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that. Wow.
Thank you.
Sounds
Thank you.
like you are a blessed woman.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Oh,
God bless you
gosh.
all.
Thank you
Woo.
for checking in, Miss Susu. Sister Lupe, good morning, gorgeous.
Good morning, beautiful people.
Mhm.
Don't feel bad, Miss Suzu. My dad don't even know what my birthday is, and my whole family forgot my birthday. But I
Oh, Lord.
thank God, except my son Chris. He did, he bought me a gift and everything.
Oh.
I thank God for my family in Christ. All of you guys remembered and were sending your shout outs and happy birthday. So although my real family did not remember, I thank God for my church family.
Yeah.
Amen. I have I'm feeling like I'm catching a cold. I
Again.
did, yeah, but it's cough. It's my throat. So I ran out of tea, so I have to make some more.
Yes.
But yes, I did test for COVID, and it was negative, so I don't have COVID. I just think because yesterday I went outside in the rain, and also on Sunday I was already feeling a little bit, and then just singing kind of like messed made it a little worse. But I think it's the weather changing. But just putting it out there, I'm negative. um, right. I'm excited because I went on an interview yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's actually just it's funny because I went to Homeboy Industries to apply as a trainee, and they don't pay enough. I will probably not be able to survive in that income, but I went anyways, and they were teaching a class on how to prepare yourself for work. So they were doing the instructor was doing role play. She was kind of like giving examples. So right after I left her class, I met up with my friend for lunch at the cafe and at Homeboys. This man walks up, she introduces me. He heard our conversation, just me and her talking, and he's just started interviewing me on the spot. And
Wow.
I'm like, wow, like what a coincidence. I just came out of this class, and he started talking to me, but then I realized like, wow, he's really interested on what I'm doing and what kind of work am I looking for. Finally, he was like, send me your resume, we'll do it quick. And it's a position that I saw on the website, but I didn't even imagine, like I didn't feel capable to
Wow.
apply. So it's not for sure. I did speak to him yesterday. He has to run it with the other staff, but I'm hopeful about that, and I'm gonna keep applying in other jobs as well. I have basically 2 more weeks of unemployment, so time is going. But I remember in prayer, or I don't even think I was praying, just sometimes God will drop a word out of nowhere, right?
Right.
And he said job. So I know that there's a job out there for me, and even though I'm running out of time, he doesn't work on our time. It's in his time. So I'm feeling hopeful right now. Amen.
Excellent. Excellent. I love that. Wow. Like 7-Eleven, too much good stuff. I love that. I'm also reminded that God has spoke to you through someone not too long ago and saying, don't be intimidated. There was a position and he didn't want you to be intimidated. So maybe this is the time for that word. That's the one you said, I don't qualify for that, and kept on moving. And here it is, while you're just having lunch with a friend, bam, here comes the interview. So I am anticipating the outcome on this. So wow, congratulations to you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think we have Miss Bianca. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hey man, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I
morning.
am doing well. I'm doing well this morning. Just excited, just excited. Just want to throw that word out there. Just excited about just new, just new. You know, just excited of what's going down. That's it.
Wow.
I'm excited about just the new things,
Yes.
new things. And I'm in expectation of new things.
All right.
There's a time in my life when I didn't expect anything new. So used to the old, was comfortable
Same
in the
cycle.
old.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Comfortable in that. And
Mhm.
new was always a fear for me
Okay.
because, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm excited about the new. Yesterday, I was kind of in and out because my ceiling fell in one of my bedrooms, so they was on top of the roof trying to just put a little tarp up there for the rain that's coming and all that. But the guy that was doing it, he had so much wisdom
Mhm.
that he spoke because God could use anybody.
That's right.
It don't mean
He's
they
your
always gotta
repairman.
come. Yeah, don't mean they always got to come from the church and out the
Right.
church. He can use anybody. And he began to just talk, and he began to spread so much wisdom, being mindful what you speak out your mouth. Of course, I've heard that. I know that. and everything. But just to hear somebody else to say, be
When
careful.
God drop it on you on the right now in an
Right.
atmosphere and an
Right.
unknown person.
Yeah, be careful, because your tongue has power, and never say what you can't do, Sister Lupe. Never say that you don't qualify, Sister Lupe. But that's what he was telling me. Never say never. Never, we get in the mindset, oh, I can never own a house, or I can never have this job, or I never gonna have no money, and different things like that. And we just cursing our own self.
That's right.
Because then with the words that come out of our mouth, it frames our mind to believe that that's just the way it is. So like I said, I'm excited. I didn't come on this line to preach this morning. But I am excited about the new on today, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about on today. Thank you.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. My husband was the one that spoke to me about even the jobs, years ago. I remember, just like Sister Lupe saying, looking at this, the qualifications of a job and all of everything that they required that I didn't have. And my husband encouraged me, said, you don't ever allow intimidation to keep you from that. I don't care what it is. You go in there and you show them you. You show them you and let them decide. And I've been doing that ever since. But I tell you, the job that had the qualifications that intimidated me so was the job that God gave me, and it bared so much fruit. So I want to encourage somebody today, go forth. That's where I met people who are people, it was for Shields for Families, and I met people that became a part of my life, a part of my work, strong pillars in my heart and in my work and in my life. It's just amazing. They became daughters, it was just so amazing. But that intimidation is a part of fear. And that's one of the unhealthy behaviors that we're here to break today. Fear. Thank you so much. Miss Denise, good morning. Go ahead and check in, ma'am.
Okay, I'm out here in the middle of the mandolin rain.
Oh, Lord.
You ever heard that song? Listen to the mandolin rain. Oh, listen to the mandolin rain. Listen to a heart in pain. Oh, listen to the mandolin rain. Yeah. So I'm out here in the mandolin rain, and it's pouring, and I got to get on the road, but I'm punched in for right now until I get to the canyons. When I get to the canyons is when my call has a tendency to drop.
Okay.
One day I'm gonna invest in me a satellite phone so I can ride through the mountains and still be able to communicate.
Okay. Yes, that's safe.
I wanted one. Because before Mother Stacks passed away, I was about to go take me a long drive to somewhere in New Mexico for the hot air balloon parade, hot air balloon festival, and then drive to Grand Canyon and all that. And I was gonna find me a way, because those phones are expensive. Those satellite phones are very expensive. I was gonna find me the way to get me one for that drive.
Wow.
So I would be all right on the road.
I think we lost her. I just looked up and the rain is like heaven opened up and poured down buckets at a time. Thank God for the blessings. Let's see. We're going to go to Brother Danny. Good morning, Mr. Danny. Go ahead and check in.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's kind of chilly, but I am well. Chimed in, waiting to hear some more music. Got my writing equipment ready.
All right. I love that.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for chiming in today. Miss Denise may be coming back soon. I just, like I said, I looked up and I saw the buckets of rain falling down. But I just thank God that the windows of heaven are opened up unto us. Expect your blessing, expect your breakthrough. But we're not sitting around expecting it. We're making intentional, purposeful steps into our change. So today we're talking about breaking the cycle. Now, we took a couple of days to talk about triggers. There's two types of triggers that we talked about. What are those two types of triggers, guys? Anyone? We talked about
internal and external.
Very good. Thank you, Miss Bianca. We have internal triggers. Those are those triggers of our emotions, our feelings. We have external triggers. Those are things that maybe we have participated in those unhealthy behaviors before in these certain circumstances, in these certain places. So sometimes those places and those feelings and emotions, they trigger the brain association. Remember, this is not just you. We got to remember how this cycle goes. The cycle starts with a trigger. The trigger, be it internal or external, it triggers a thought. Remember, the song Precious Lord may trigger the thought of your loved one's homegoing service. Passing by a certain street may trigger a thought of a childhood memory. Going down, talking to an old friend may trigger the emotions of the abuse that maybe that person, they're not that abuser, but they remind you of them. Brain association. And because of the thought, the next part of that cycle, the trigger, the thought, and then there's a reaction. Sometimes it's a craving to do something. You guys put your phones on mute. Sometimes it's a craving to do something. Sometimes it's an automatic response to operate in a behavior that maybe you haven't behaved in years. But at the same time, because you know that it's an unhealthy behavior. I hear people talk about, hey, I'm not about that life no more. I don't live that life anymore. Whether it's a drug life, whether it's a gang banging life, whether it's the sex life, whatever the life we call it, it's our previous life. But there are some things that associate with our brain, and that's called the trigger. Whether it's an internal trigger when I feel criticized, when I feel pressured, when people are talking about me, when I'm embarrassed, when I'm happy, when I'm feeling confident, when I'm feeling really passionate about something. Any of those feelings may trigger me into something. It may trigger me into feeling like, people don't care. I was in a women's meeting last night where they talked about rejection, and so many different people weighed in on the rejection. So there's some things that maybe the person is not rejecting them at all, but it's just the trigger that it brings when certain sounds, certain feelings, certain atmospheres, certain times of the day, it may trigger me to a feeling, and that internal trigger, rejection, pain, whatever it is, may trigger you to a behavior, a response. It may trigger you to use. It may trigger you to lie. It may trigger you to beat up somebody. It may trigger you to shift your mindset to that old behavior. So we want to identify the triggers, because what happens after you have a trigger, it goes into a thought. That stage goes into a response, because we're going to respond in our minds or in our hearts. And then we find ourselves in a full-blown relapsing of the old behaviors, relapsing of the old lifestyles, relapse. So we've talked about these triggers. We talked about how it associates. We identified some patterns that brings about, and I forgot some of the patterns. Okay. I forgot some of the patterns on yesterday that was mentioned, but they were awesome. How when I feel like this thought comes up, and before you know it, I'm doing this, whatever this is, anger, lying, anger. Oh, I said that. Going to beat up somebody, any of these things, enabling, accusing, blaming. I'm starting to control people again. I'm not accepting my own stuff, any of those things. So I'm going to give an example just for our remembrance. We have an example here in our curriculum that talks about and explains a trigger. So a trigger, let's say, usually, let's say you go out with friends every Friday night. That's one of your behaviors. You go out with friends on Friday night, just got paid. It's Friday night. So you're going out, you got money in your pocket, you're hooking up with your friends, y'all going to the club, y'all doing what you do at the club, you get your party on, you get your drink on, you going to the after party, you going to the after club, you know, then afterwards, of course, you're going to do a little something, something. I won't say, of course, because that's not everybody's life, but you may find yourself doing a little something, something. You may be going home with somebody and having promiscuous, unprotected sex. You know, you may be going to use drugs. You may start going to rob banks. You know, I remember a time when we used to, when we get inebriated, when we start using and drinking and things like that, you know, we start doing crime, you know. So let's say this is our example. What are some of the triggers from that? When Friday night comes, all of a sudden, your body is going to feel some kind of way. Because when we're in recovery, when we're trying to change our life, when we're trying to do something different, the brain association doesn't shut down and go away for the winter. What happens is you're still dealing with the same brain. It's up to us and our decisions to what we're going to do to reset the brain. My brain is saying, I have made a decision in my intellect that on Friday nights, when I got paid, I'm not going to go out with my friends. I'm not going to go to the bar. I'm not going to go to the club, or whatever your situation was, right? For this example. So when Friday night comes, don't think that your brain don't associate the Friday night atmosphere like, hey, we supposed to be doing something. We got money in our pocket. We're supposed to go somewhere. So the atmosphere of Friday night is a trigger. After work, that's the trigger, because after you get off work, your mind is already in circuit, you know, what we're going to do, because this is the routine that you've done. This has been your behavior. You have trained your brain to function in this way. So Friday night is a trigger. After work is a trigger. Payday is a trigger. Those same friends that we love so much that we have a hard time giving away, repositioning in our life, those friends are a trigger because our brain associates them in that pattern. Also, the bar, the club, all those things are triggers. So now let's look at this. We have to identify our triggers. So very quickly, I want everyone to identify at least one major trigger, whether it's internal or external. This should be easy because we've talked about triggers for the last couple of days. So I just want everybody, just release your line just real quick, and identify one major internal trigger. Let's go.
Stress.
Come on, somebody else.
Loneliness.
Awesome. Let's go.
Doubt.
Yep. Excellent. Who else?
Fear. That's a few.
That's all right. We got to identify our major triggers.
Anger.
Yes. Go
Not
ahead.
knowing what the future holds.
The unknown. Yes.
Depression.
Yes. I love this. You guys have done some work to identify what triggers me to that bad place. And if you hear what you say?
I used to go to the weed shop. So now I get these text messages, reminders. And even though I block them, somehow they still manage to go through my phone. So I get reminders on Fridays and every other day.
40% off. Awesome.
That's wrong.
I know. In the middle of worship, I'm getting a text reminder.
We're still here.
Wow.
Stupid.
A welcome back sale, 40% off. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it used to be commercials also. The commercials of the booze, looking so
Yes.
good.
That's good.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's good. Excellent. Because we have to identify our triggers, both internal as well as external. Go ahead, Denise.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm driving, that's why. Friday night used to be like the Friday night trigger used to be a big trigger. Oh my goodness. I still battle with Friday night. I sure do. Oh my.
Yep. And we got to remember people, places, things, times of days, anniversaries, certain seasons, they can be a trigger. And so now that we've identified some of our major triggers, whether they're internal or external, one thing that we want to do is try to prevent the trigger from happening. So when we talk about prevention, this is just one point. When we talk about preventing a trigger from happening, once you identify it and you know the power of that trigger, there's some things that I got to do to prevent that trigger. Now that I know the power that it has, I know how it's going to come and disrupt and shake up my moment, my day, my trajectory, what I'm trying to do. I know that when I'm lonely, I'm triggered. I know that when I'm doubtful, I'm triggered. I know that Friday night is coming and I'm triggered. So what are some things that we can do to prevent some of those triggers? Anybody? What are some
Find something else to do.
Find
Like
something else to do
occupy-
on Friday night. I love it. Or the loneliness. Yes.
As I say, separate yourself, if you can.
Yep. Separation. That's it. Awesome.
Now, what was my? Can you hear me, folks? Okay. What God gave me, and this is what He did for me. Friday night for me, by 2004, it wasn't necessarily let's go out and get toe up. It was get booed up for the weekend. You had to get booed up for the weekend.
Okay.
Now, what God did for me, He put me on a post. I used to work security. I still got my guard card. I need to use it again. My guard card, so I could so I worked an overnight post on Friday and Saturday night on a mountain by myself at a church.
Okay.
I used to take my homework and my CDs up there of services and listen. But it wasn't a complete cure for Friday night because I still battle with Friday night. You understand?
Right. But you lead us right into our second point, because exactly that's what we have to do. Once we identify triggers, sometimes we got to prevent that trigger. We got to reposition some people in our families, in our lives. We got to reposition some loved ones, some authoritative figures, whatever that trigger is. I got to move them out of my life so that I can prevent the exposure of that trigger. And secondly, like Ms. Denise led us right into our second point, deal with that trigger in a different way. Some triggers you may not be able, I can't cut Friday night out of my life. That's not going to happen. So what I have to do is deal with it differently. You may not be in a position where you can cut certain people out of your life. So you have to learn how to deal with them different. So like she said, I got a post now. So I work Friday nights now. Usually if Friday nights maybe bring you into a loneliness, then I'm going to get some support. I'm going to make sure maybe payday is a trigger for you, a trigger to go and do some unhealthy behaviors. Then maybe one day what I'm going to do on Friday night, I'm going to make sure that I have me some support around. Maybe I'm going to give my card to someone I trust. Maybe I'm going to have something whereas I can have that accountability person in my life. I'm going to call my life coach. I'm going to call my sisters and brothers. I'm going to call my tree. I'm going to schedule my appointments on Friday night, whatever appointments you're going to schedule on Friday nights. So we're going to deal with them different. If they're people, if they're our children, if they're our parents, if they're our loved ones, you know, I have to deal with them differently. If your grandmother causes you to want to drink, or brings you mental stress that puts you in a bad place, then maybe I just need to go and say, hello, grandmother, and go and shake the spot, because you love them. You want to stay in their life and embrace them, but you may have to deal with them different. I remember when I was, when I first got clean from drugs and alcohol, I remember it was a routine going to my family's house in Long Beach. And a little bit of every kind of dysfunction in the world goes on there. We had the alcoholics was drinking. We had the gamblers at the table in the middle of the floor. We had the heroin addicts in the bathroom. We had the crack addicts tapping everybody. You got $10? You got $10? You know, we had the domestic violent people beating their wives. They taking dumbbells that people lifting weights and knocking their wives upside the head. We had every dysfunction under the sun. And I remember sitting on the porch, and I may be early in my recovery, and I had to ask myself, why am I here? I was there out of routine. This is what we did. The family got together. We all met up at the uncle's house, and this is what we did. And I had to make a decision. If I was going, I had to build a new lifestyle. So one thing about these triggers is building a new lifestyle. I love how Danny talks about buying new clothes. I don't want to associate with my life. I love how Lupe, you know, talks about how she has to deal with certain individuals in her family differently. You know, how Bianca has identified how fear is a factor and how she's overcoming fear by doing what she needs to do purposefully. All of you guys have alluded to what's the problem and how I'm going to deal with it differently. So identifying our triggers and preventing the trigger. We don't want to keep, if we know that that's a problem, we don't want to continue in it. I was looking for this cliche in my head. It just didn't meet up fast enough. So I had to go on. You know, if we know that that's a problem, you know, let's stop going back and forth. If we know that it's a snake and it's going to bite us, why do we continue to position ourselves to be bit? If we know the kryptonite is going to weaken us, we go, well, why do we keep going back? So the behaviors that we have, whatever your unhealthy behaviors are that we're trying to overcome, we still find ourselves going around the same triggers, expecting a different result. You know, that's what they call insanity, doing the same old thing, expecting a different result. Miss Susu, did you have something to share?
No, my mic on?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Denise, did you have something to share?
Well, it's different things can come to pass. Now, where I'm at right now is trying to reboot and reorganize and get life in order. I'm going through a lot. I know I'm going through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was just thinking about now, while you guys were talking, I pulled over on the side of the road, jumped out the car, and took a picture of a beautiful rainbow.
Wow.
I have a tendency now, what I do now, not all the time, because sometimes I'm too stressed to even do that. But what I have a tendency to do is ride around with my camera, and I'll jump out the car, I see something interesting, I'll get to shoot.
Okay.
Like tomorrow would be, if it's not raining tomorrow, would be an awesome day to go shooting downtown because of the fact that all the smog will be gone.
True that. True that.
Yeah, it's awesome shooting. And I got a cousin that lives on a building, in a building that's near the Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what I'm saying is that to change the trigger, like it's been years, but I still feel the knock of Friday night. You're supposed to be booed up on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do instead? I don't do nothing.
Okay.
I don't do nothing. I mean, there used to be a time I used to go to Friday night service, but Friday night service, it was like I put things in categories. There are different categories of different things. I come to get this word because when Bishop was alive, I come in on Friday night, it was question and answer time at the end of service because he would ask us about what he just taught us.
Okay.
And we would answer back. And it was classroom time.
Okay.
It was classroom time. So, but it was different. It wasn't a social event. It wasn't that. It was just classroom time to me. And I was just reflecting myself, and maybe I can turn Friday night into study night.
Absolutely.
Maybe I can turn Friday night into study night, pull out the good old concordance and pull out the Bibles, a couple of Bibles, and sit down and get ruthlessly busy, or certain books that I've been wanting to read. I have a pile of books that I need to sit down and read. Thank you.
Thank you. You're absolutely right, because it was a course of events that groomed our mind to say, hey, this is booed up night. Like you said, it was a course of events that used to tell you that Friday night was turn up, let's get loaded night. That changed to a course of events that is booed up night. So now why not intentionally change it, resetting the brain to, you know what? Friday night is going to be my study night. That's amazing. That's awesome. What's some other things that we can do to change those way that we deal with some of our triggers? Some of the triggers we just threw out there today. What's some things that we could do to either deal with our triggers differently or to prevent them from happening? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
So I remember on Fridays I used to always see what I could get in, where I could fit in, and try to set up. See where we're gonna go. We're gonna go clubbing, or we're gonna go to this bar. And I remember even when I was working at a bar, it was always popping on Fridays, Saturdays. So even when I didn't want to do anything on Fridays or I was tired, automatically it was like, we're gonna get tore up.
Okay.
And I remember even drinking and smoking and not even wanting to do it. I didn't even want to do it. I was just wanted to lay down and watch TV or go to sleep. And because I was so used to doing
Your program.
it was a pattern. It was a pattern for me. Even when I didn't even want to do it, it was just an automatic thing to do.
Yes.
So what I started doing, I joined a Bible study on Friday nights, and I used to stay there till 12 o'clock at night, high on coffee and sugar, high on sugar, on donuts and whatever they had there, because I was so used to being up like really late on Fridays, Saturdays,
Right.
on the weekend, until I stopped going to that Bible study. And it's just, I'm okay now just being home now and not having to have something to do. I think even just watching TV with my children and a movie, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or because I already been there, done that. I'm kind of burnt out with all that stuff. But yeah, I definitely found something else to do. I started hanging out at a Bible study and connecting with new people. Bonfire, we didn't have, we had cups in our hands, but it was coffee and tea. It was in alcohol and fellowshipping and dancing for the Lord.
Wow. I love that. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. No, it's not necessarily because you're getting older, because you see the old as well as the young that's stuck in their old behaviors, their unhealthy behaviors. You reset your brain. You reset your brain to where that hype was now you've satisfied it. You did something. You prevented the trigger by dealing with it differently. I like how you said, the bonfires, out with friends. So it satisfied that Friday night trigger until you were able to control it. Because remember, guys, recovery is healing. It's a healing process. If I was to fall down and break my leg, Just because a week or two have passed does not mean that my leg is going to be altogether lovely. Yeah, I can put all the anointing oil and this, that, and the other on it. It's still going to go through a process of healing. So just as Miss Denise was saying, sometimes I still feel the on the Friday night. It's nothing like it was, but sometimes I can still feel the That's because of healing. Brain association is just that. It's just like your soul. Your soul never loses the memory of what it's been through. We've just learned how to handle it different. Paul talks about forgetting those things that are behind you, meaning don't get stuck and just holding on to the hurts and the pains and the effects. He don't mean just wash your brain, choo-choo, and all of a sudden your memory is lapsed, and just keep on pressing. No, learn the lesson, get through it, reset your brain, get your healing that's needed, learn from your past experiences and press towards the mark. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Anyone else? How are we going to prevent our triggers or deal with our triggers differently? And then we're going to move to our next point.
I got a good one for Sister Lupe. For sister, you there? I got a good one for you because you got a built-in crew. Yeah, to turn off TVs, to turn off the tube, and have board game night. You got a crew built in your house. You got a Scrabble crew. You got a Sorry crew, the game Sorry, and the game Monopoly. And Connect 4 and other games. Like maybe twice a month, family game night. Sounds like the bomb. I wish I'd had that opportunity.
I have all those games too.
Yep. And Uno. Oh man. I told some 5-year-olds, I'm not ashamed about whooping no 5-year-old till you learn.
That's Amen. Funny. But yeah, use what's in your house. I love that. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with her as well as all of us, because sometimes we don't think outside the box. Sometimes we're so used to just this behavior that we don't realize. I love how Lupe shared how there was a time where Friday was turn up. It wasn't so much just, yeah, kids, family, that's beautiful. But hey, our brains have become conditioned. I too remember times I used to go in the house and I would see my brother and the kids just sitting there watching TV. And I'm like, how could they do that? Because our brain becomes adjusted to the lifestyle that we've taught it. And the other lifestyles don't fit. But through time, intentional steps, healing, which is recovery, what happens is your brain becomes reset. And those things now, remember your dopamine, your brain chemical dopamine, your neurotransmitter is your reward measure. It measures your reward. It scores it. What's high, whether it's going off on someone in anger, whether it's using drugs or alcohol, whether it's using drugs or alcohol while having sex, whether it's going out with friends. But what happened when you introduce something and your dopamine, that neurotransmitter, rated higher than maybe just being home with the kids or maybe just going to an opera, when those things seem more exciting and got more pleasure, what happens is we start gravitating towards those things. It's an inside job, guys. It's beyond your choice. It's beyond what you think you want to do. It's an inside job. And what happens is after a while, that's why you see people that are, in certain situations where it seemed like they've just kind of said they've adjusted to their situation and, they chose to be homeless. They chose, not all people chose to be, some of them have different situations, of course, but some situations are because they've gotten adjusted in their brain where it is not only just acceptable, but you become normal. You've been normalized to the lifestyle. So therefore, even living in a house or apartment, sometimes people say, oh, we got to get people in housing first. Well, sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not the case, because I've had clients who lived outside in a tent, got them housing, they moved inside, and certain things triggered them to just go back to the tent. It was just too much. And it wasn't even a matter of drugs. It wasn't a matter of alcohol, just some behaviors, some things that trigger us, that they felt safer just living in a tent. So everyone has a different, there's no general solution, but we make solutions for ourselves individually. So thank you so much for sharing those. Our next thing we want to see is, now that we've identified our trigger, we want to see how we can prevent that trigger from happening, who we need to remove, and if we can't, how can we deal with it in a different way? We want to acknowledge, have I ever had that losing argument in my head? Have that trigger been so overwhelming that I had to stop? I had to lay my keys down. I had to sit myself down and say, wait a minute. It's like you had to talk yourself out of cussing that person out. You had to talk yourself out of enabling that person. You had to talk yourself out of feeling so self-important. You had to talk yourself out of these unhealthy behaviors, out of control, out of gambling, out of smoking, out of self-sabotage. You had to talk yourself out of those things. It's like you're in a war in your brain. You've decided that I'm going to live different. But there's something in my brain that says, no, we gonna keep doing it because this is what we've been doing. This is the regimen. And you feel driven to continue in the behavior. Has anyone ever had that argument in your head where you had to invent reasons why I'm going to stay in this path, why I'm going to not have unprotected promiscuous sex, why I'm not going to pick up that drink, why I'm not going to enable that person? Has anyone ever had that argument where you were just like insanely in that argument? I'm not going to say those words. I'm not going to respond that way. I'm not going to do it. Has anyone ever experienced that? And please tell me what happened. Anyone? When you had that argument? Yeah. Tell me about it.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. I'm gonna tell you something. I always say this. I got to fight me to do right. Because I know I got some tendencies under particular stimuli to go ahead and become a circus act on the corner of 5th and San Pedro. I have a tendency under certain stress, under certain levels of stress. And then you have to fight yourself down.
Yes.
Okay. Like I'm in the process of breaking the social media habit. Okay. If you've noticed, I've deleted my page and I'm gonna try not to bring it back up. Okay. I want it to go bye-bye because Facebook to me is a time waster. I was too addicted to the internet. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to reset my brain because something happens to your brain on the internet like that all the time. Mm-hmm. There's something happens to your mind. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. It messes with your addiction center.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the process of breaking that Jones, and I thank God for it because what I'm doing right now, like I'm driving in rip roaring, hollering rain on the 14. I'm on it, but I can do it because part of the reason I was laughing because I can do it because of the fact that I broke that habit and it's doing something good for me. Okay. So, I got to fight me to change. I have to fight me. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about I got to fight me.
Hey. Absolutely.
I ain't talking, sometimes there's other folk involved, but me being a single person living a solitary type of lifestyle, that I got to fight me.
That's right.
I'm the criminal. I am the problem. I am the culprit. I am the cause of the confusion.
That's beautifully said, because there's so many people that's not there yet. and they're fighting and blaming and pointing fingers at other people and have not yet become accountable to realize that the fight is inside of me. The fight is inside of me. That's excellent. Thank you so much, Denise. Anybody else? Have anyone engaged in that fight? And how did you win if you won? Because one thing about, go ahead.
For me, the fight remaining and staying celibate. Because of where I come from, you know, I did whatever I thought was big enough and bad enough to do. You know, in a relationship, out of relationship, whatever. But the fight to remain celibate. Now, this fight is not a hard fight today.
Okay.
Okay, let me make that perfectly clear. It's not a hard fight today. Don't nobody get it twisted. Not today, but it came over years of fighting to get where I am today.
Right.
And so because of where I am today, and because I've seen the full picture of it, that's what keeps me where I am today. Because I see what happens when I refrain from being celibate, you know. So today I can say that that thing right there is something that, you know, never say never. I know, I hear it. Never say never about situations, but I can say that I'm smarter in that situation than I was in the past. Not so much stronger, because sometimes I had that lesson about smarter and stronger.
But not strong.
Yeah. And so, but I'm smarter in this day and time than I was in my 20s and 30s. Trying to think any 40s, but for sure 20s and 30s. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. That is wonderful. Absolutely. There's some things that we have to realize that we can't wait and rely on our strength. I think I got this. We have to use some intentional steps. Remember, we talked about learning, now that we've identified these things, learning what do I need to do to stay in this healthy behavior, maintaining my celibacy. You know, what's some healthy things that I have to do in order to maintain my celibacy, as well as what are some things that I need to avoid. See, when history and experience is a beautiful thing, because like she said, now that I know the end result to this, I've been in enough promiscuous sexual situations or whatnot that I know how this goes, where I have made some healthy choices for myself. Again, regardless to what the behavior is, we come to a point in our life where we say, you know what? I don't want this in my life anymore. Let me get help resetting my brain so that I can come out of the cycle. The cycle is equivalent to the Israelites going around and around and around and around that mountain when the promised land is just on the other side of the week. But instead, I'm 40 years in this same insanity because I won't do nothing different. I won't identify my triggers. I won't repent. I won't see what's healthy for me and what's unhealthy. I won't do, like Denise said, fight me. I want to be comfortable in my own way of thinking rather than after I've identified a thing, let me make some intentional, measurable steps of change. Sister Lupe, I see your hand up. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Sorry, I'm like, me. The last person that spoke brought up a good point. Stay civil, Sullivan. I not only that, just start staying staying I guess single, like no dating, no speaking to somebody on the phone, no going out for coffee. All that is part of dating, right? I I to me, I know that I'm still healing. I'm still legally married. I'm still going through my process. So I realize that I have noticed that that's been a temptation in my life currently. Excuse me. And I know that that's one of the hardest temptations that I had encountered through my process. So I know I'm not strong enough to face it. So what I do, I just try to block you, try to delete, because if I block you, then I might unblock you, then I might decide to call you. So I have to delete everything, every profile, your Facebook, everything. So even if I want to call you, I can't call you. I can't find you anymore, and you can't find me either. And just know that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Right.
And if so I have to run like Joseph from temptation.
Come on now.
Especially after experiencing rejection from my own husband, it feels good to feel accepted from someone else. And I know that that's an emotional issue that I need to heal from. So, yeah, I just if the conversation becomes uncomfortable, we don't need to be on the phone no more. If you if I have you on Facebook and you might be liking all my pictures and going like 2 years back, like no, maybe you're that's kind of like stalking to me.
Yeah.
Whatever makes me feel uncomfortable today,
Right.
I don't respond to it, and I unfriend you or unblock you. And before I will feel bad about it, but now it's like this is for me, and I gotta do this for me because I don't even want you to lust over me,
Yes.
and I don't want to lust over anyone or feel, even if it's just like, oh, he giving me attention, and you don't like the person, but you like the
The
attention.
attention,
Like,
yes.
yeah, so no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So just definitely just shut it down.
Yes. Awesome. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you because one thing we have to realize is certain stages of our life doesn't mean this is our lifestyle. It's a stage that's necessary so that I can enjoy a lifestyle. So as she said, yeah, I'm still married. I'm still healing. So I'm not going to open the door to new dating opportunities and this, that, and the other, even though I want to. After suffering rejection, somebody give you attention. Shoot, it's all good. I feel back in power. I feel wanted again. I feel valuable. But being in a place of healthiness and in support, you can make healthy decisions for yourself and realize, you know what? I'm just continuing a cycle right now. I'm just emotionally, we talked about those internal triggers. I'm emotionally continuing a cycle. I'm feeling loneliness. I'm not identifying who God has for me. I'm feeling loneliness. I'm dealing with my doubt. I'd rather choose this one because I just don't know. So I'm gonna take this one for security reasons. I'm dealing with my fear of, oh God, I may not ever get married. I may not ever have anyone, or the fear of the unknown. I just don't know what's going to happen. It's better to have a piece of something other than nothing at all. We have to overcome those hooks that keep us entangled in the cycle. It keeps us connected to the cycle, realizing it's only a stage. This is not my forever. This is not my forever. This is my moment of betterment. When I talk to clients about drugs and alcohol, when they're recovering, just because a job opportunity comes up, that don't mean that you need to break your process of treatment to now go to get a job. There's always going to be an opportunity. Let's prioritize ourselves. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Listen, I'm coming down to 14, okay?
Mhm.
Just had a Mustang spin out in front of me.
Oh my God.
Barely missed it. Barely missed it. I immediately went into prayer. And they
Wow.
and they made it. They made it. A cute little Mustang. Young Latino sister driving a cute little white Mustang.
Wow.
And thank you. I say thank you
Yeah.
for safety on the road. Thank you.
Yes.
But you know, hey, let me tell you something about your battle with the celibacy and the battle with the loneliness. I gotta tell you something. Ladies, please hear me, especially you youngins, you little hot tail youngins, hot emotional tail youngins. A lot of times, yes, we want attention. Yes, we want somebody to comfort us and tell us we cute. Yes, we want that. But what God showed me, what he showed me, and I got to break it off now. He showed me early on. The man, he told me the night I got, you know, that the man I was messing with was a tool of the devil. You gotta start thinking about people as agents. Who you work for? What you want over here?
Yeah.
I'm a single mama with what, 3, 4 kids? What you want over here? You don't want to take on this responsibility. What kind of agent are you? And then you got something very, very valuable. It's called a mantle. And the enemy would love to snatch it off your shoulders in your head. He would love to cut your hair, young Samson or Samsona. He would love to cut your hair. Look, today, I count myself blessed, even though I don't, you know, for me, that Friday night thing, there is no replacement for dude. Like every Friday night, oh, well, here you are, another Friday night, and you ain't got nobody. What you got? You got a newspaper and a book. Go sit down with that and say, thank you, I can read, you know. And it don't take care of that, I'm gonna be honest with you, it don't take care of that personal place. That personal place, that person that wants some attention, that wants some affection. It does not take care of that. That's for me. But I done seen for my first missions, I was out there picking up young women of God or women of God that kept falling. Literally, God kept sending me to pick these women up. They was blowing their lives. Their lives was about to be blown apart. They was losing their blessings. They told me. Different ones. I done went and ripped sheets off beds and poured oil on them and prayed. So what I'm saying, it's some cutesy stuff, but I'm gonna tell you right now, we better sober up. We better sober up, because I have something to protect that's beyond me. I just want to, I know that might be a little bit too much for this group, but I needed to get that out there. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I would stretch out to say, not even just for the women, but for men, you know, men dealing with their loneliness, men dealing with, because remember how God made the men to oversee and to protect, you know, to take pride and to cultivate. And sometimes our men, they don't know how or when, and they have to go through their healing process. Sometimes we have people that are abusers, or they protect wrong, or they subdue their families, their lands wrong. And now they have to learn how, and they have to not be so quick to satisfy those internal needs as well. So no, that was beautifully said. And that goes for men and women. We have something to protect. And even if you don't subscribe to the spiritual mantle, just even your sanity, your body, you know, your time, your life. We've wasted enough time. I say that to myself. I'm 57 years old. I wasted enough time doing whatever it is. So I'm very strategic on my time, my choices, my decision-making. So I want us to remember, as we're moving forward, I want us to remember our thoughts. We want to remember in this cycle that it's the trigger, whether the internal or the external trigger, the trigger stimulates a thought. The thought stimulates that response, and that response, regardless to whether it's a craving, a desire, let's go do this, or let's forbear, it's going to, if we don't do anything about it, it's going to go into the relapse of the regular cycle. This is why it's important that we deal with our thoughts. Our thoughts become things. There's something on YouTube, thoughts become things. Because if we think a thing, remember, watch your thoughts, because they become your actions. The Bible tells us to watch the thoughts we entertain. We can't entertain every thought that comes up. A thought comes up and we just give ourselves over to the thought. Those thoughts come, it comes into our heart, and then it's acted out at our own hands. So one thing that we want to do is identify that the thoughts have power. And if you take a moment just to think, you can think about something that you gave a lot of attention to, and as an outcome, you gave a lot of power to that thing. And because you gave the power to it, whether it was good or whether it was bad, we found that that situation did not go as it was out of our control. Because why? Because we continued to give thought and attention to it. I always tell people, don't give attention to gossip. Don't give attention to nonsense. Don't give attention to things that tell you you can't do it. Don't give the power of thought. Don't entertain the thought, as the word tells us, as we're believers on this line. And if we have given that portion of the word, because we grow in our submission, if we've submitted to that part of the word, then I want us to understand what it means. It means that if we entertain a thing, then we give it power. It becomes something. So one thing that we begin to learn is we ourselves, we have the power to change some outcomes at the thought. Some triggers we cannot control. I'm walking down the street and bam, here goes somebody. So there's some triggers I can't prevent. There's some triggers that I can't maybe find a different way to do. There's some triggers that's just bam, you're on the bus, and that person that triggers you internally or emotionally, all of a sudden they're on the bus and I'm trapped on the bus. I'm trapped on the Metrolink. I'm trapped on the train with this person and my thoughts. So therefore, when the thoughts come, remember, when we talked about thoughts, we talked about emotions, we talked about behaviors. Thoughts I can control. It may seem like you can't, because maybe you haven't been practicing it. Practice controlling your thoughts. The word tells us, cast down every imagination, every thought that exalts itself against the obedience of God's word. So that if God says you can be holy and your thoughts is telling you can't, you need to cast that thing down. So you got power over your thoughts. So you have to practice your authority in changing your thought, casting it down, changing it, just like you change that TV channel. When we get to the place where we're in our action mode, that's a hard place to come back from, because that's where another part of the brain is at work. Denise brought up about that addictive place, that addictive place of your brain. You have your upper brain, you have your lower brain, you have a place in your brain, the limbic system. We find, guys, that there's parts of our brains that do different things. If you didn't overcome the thought, if you didn't cast it down at the thought, then guess what? If I keep entertaining the thought, I'm going to be stimulated in another part of my brain. It's an inside job, guys. I'm going to be stimulated in another part of my brain. And that part of my brain is that go mode. That's that addictive part. That's that part that say, let's do it. That's that part that say, don't even consider the consequences. That's that part that say, you got this, when they really you don't. When God said, we better count up the cost, and you're like, I got this. I got faith. Faith wasn't even required. This is all that addictive brain situation pushing you outside of your rational self. So one thing we got to learn is to make some decisions in the place that we can control the best, which is at the thought stage. So when the trigger happened and the thought comes, if I take this part of the stage of this cycle and change my thought, how powerful is this? my thoughts become my actions. My thoughts become, even before my action, they become my words, the words that we speak. So a man thinketh, so is he. So therefore, if I'm the thoughts that I think, this is who I'm going to become. Change how you think about yourself. Change how you think of some of these unhealthy behaviors. Some of these unhealthy behaviors, we look at them as solutions. We look at them as rescuers, knights in shining armor. We look at them as damsels in distress that gives us honor in rescuing them. We have to change the way we think about some things. We have to change our belief systems, how we believe a thing should go sometimes. That takes days on days on days, but we have to be intentional and we have to be committed to the process ourselves. So some ways that we can change the thoughts is in visualization. Sometimes when that thought comes, that thought that's going to lead you back into the way of unhealthy behaviors, it might not lead you directly to it, but it's going to lead you in that way. Because remember, your brain operates in cycles, triggers, thoughts, cravings, relapse if you keep on. That's how come they went around that mountain so many times. They never broke the cycle. They never changed the behavior. If somebody took the opportunity like Caleb did and said, you know what, I'm not going to follow this same order. I got an idea that I'm going to obey the man of God. I'm going to get myself closer to him rather than closer to these naysayers. And I'm going to go and hold up the man of God's hand. What is he doing? I'm going to go do something different. He had a thought and he moved in that thought. So sometimes you got to visualize yourself doing something different rather than occupying and entertaining unhealthy thoughts. Cast those thoughts down, interrupt them with your own visualization. You paint a new picture. You change the channel. You paint a new picture. How would it be if, maybe I did this right now, or if I did that instead, or let me take my time and write out a vision board, something that I want to do because I can't get to where I want to go. Like Hagar said, write the vision, make it plain. I can't get to where I want to go entertaining these thoughts. Another thing we could do is snapping. We talked about snapping when we can wear a rubber band. We're talking about resetting the brain, guys. Remember this. When you wear a rubber band, they have different kind of bands now, rubber, not just a rubber band, although that's what I'm talking about, a rubber band. But they also have these bands, that have different slogans on them, just like back in the day, the What Would Jesus Do? The WWJD bands, they're about so wide. And when those unhealthy thoughts come to mind, pull that band, pop that band, snap that, make it snap your body, snap your arm and say no. So what are you doing? You're retraining your brain that thought is unhealthy. Just like you've experienced other pain, whenever things occur, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That was painful. So what you're doing now, you're resetting the brain, but you're snapping that rubber band. When you start thinking about going to do those old behaviors, snap that rubber band and say no. No. So that associates to the brain that when that thought comes, here's that pain, and here's that word, no. So your brain is in time going to begin to reset that we're not going to think that thought because it brings pain. Remember, your brain's function is to bring wellness over the body. That's why it has its own way of doing things. So if thinking that thought becomes painful, then your brain is going to stop introducing it. Also, we talk about relaxation. Sometimes you need to just give yourself a moment to relax, to chill, give yourself some time. And also, you can also just call a friend, call a supportive person that's all about your change, not somebody that's going to bring you into that argument. Remember, we talked about that argument in our head. And if you haven't experienced that argument, then you're not really yet in true recovery of your change yet. And I say that not disrespectfully, not in pun or you ain't did nothing. No, I'm just showing you a true way to measure your recovery. Even if you're trying to change the way you dress. One of the things is sometimes your brain may say, hey, let's go put on them tennis shoes and let's throw that blue rag back in our pocket, and then another side of your brain gonna say, no, we're not doing that. The other brain, but I like those tennis shoes. And the blue rag is just to wipe my face. The other side brain, no, I'm not doing that. I don't even want to be associated to that life anymore. I got a napkin. No, that napkin, it tears easy. This is a nice sturdy napkin. You know, we're just going to put it in our back pocket, causing us to compromise. But the rational side of our brain is saying, no, I'm not wearing those tennis shoes, and I'm not putting that in my pocket. That's an argument. That's an argument inside of your brain. It's different from person to person. Some arguments get heated. Some arguments are just trying to get that door of compromise to open. You know, this is a softer one. It's more durable, things like that. So sometimes we need to call somebody. Sometimes we need to break the silence of self. Get some people in your support group. Get some people, not just a person. One person, people are only human. People are not committed because they have issues of their own. Get yourself a support group of people that you can call, people that knows that you're trying to change your life, not people that's going to compromise. There ain't nothing wrong with wearing tennis shoes. Girl, you're just going crazy now. You're doing too much. Ain't nothing wrong with having a blue rag in your back pocket. That's where you come from. You know, not those people, but people that are going to encourage your change. So I want to ask, before we close out today, it's 10:50. What are you going to do to stop the thoughts? We got to understand this, because if we don't stop it at the thought, it becomes harder and harder to stop it later on in the stage of the cycle. So what are you going to do? I want to stop it where I have the most power. Go ahead and share, Brother Danny. You put yourself on mute, Brother Danny.
I remember when I was a teenager, my mother used to, and I was going through certain problems or whatever it was. My mother would always come to me and say, "Roy, pray, pray. God has given you the spirit of prayer.
Wow.
You know how to pray." And she would just continually repeat that to me whenever things was wrong with me. Roy, pray, Roy, pray. On the other hand, my grandfather, when things was going wrong, or I needed something, or something wasn't getting done that needed to get done, my grandfather would tell me, "Well, if you don't do it, ain't nobody's gonna do it for you. Get out there and be a go-getter. Don't wait for nobody. Get out there and do it." Well, that was impressed in my mind, and that's the way I began.
Argument in your head.
Yes. So I knew that when problems came, to go and pray and tell God about it and be consistent in my prayer. At the same time, I knew that when I needed something and something wasn't being done in my time or the time I thought I needed it, I would go and get it done for myself. Well, now here I am in the Lord, and at another stage I never thought that I would ever could ever imagine myself being in. Now I'm in a place to where now, okay, I'm praying like my mother told me to pray and how she put it in me. But then at the same time, I'm hearing in my mind, man, if you prayed and then and it ain't happening yet, I'm hearing my grandfather, well, you know what? If you don't go out there and do it yourself and make it happen for yourself, it'll never happen. You'll never get there. You'll never get it. And right now, it's that is my battle right now today. When doubt tries to creep in I'm not going to say when doubt tries to creep in, but when doubt creeps in, and the word tells me, stand, wait, have faith in the Lord, trust in the word of God. God has given you a word and told you to wait. Don't get out there in your flesh and try to, and after so long of waiting and so long of trying to be obedient to that, I'll hear the voice of my grandfather, man, you got to get out there, get it yourself. You can't wait on nobody. You can't wait on nobody. Well, my grandfather didn't stipulate at the time when he was telling me that I'm not talking about the Lord.
Right.
You wait on the Lord. So
right.
Because he didn't stipulate that to me and break it down to me of what he really
understanding
meant.
of it.
Yes. When it came, even even now when it comes to the purpose of the Lord in my life, and doubt begins to creep in. Well, check this out, man. You're dealing with this and you've been dealing with that for so long, and it ain't happening. And God knows your heart. He knows your heart. So if he knows your heart and he knows that you are honest and sincere, why isn't he moving on this thing for you? Well, I think you better get out there and get it yourself and go and do it yourself. Make it happen for yourself.
Wow.
And right now that haunts me in a major way right now, even to this very day, to where I can see, God, I trust you, Lord. I can even pray hard, get on my knees and pray and pray and pray and trust and believe. And at the same time, still that side of me, man, you know what? I hear you praying, but get out there and do what you got to do, because this person need that. You got to have this. You need this working, and you need that working. Just get out there and do it right quick, and get that settled.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with that right now, and it's not just tiresome to me, but it's a pain. It's painful.
Okay.
You know, and I'm dealing with that. This is real life. I am really dealing with, and what it does is makes me sit back and say to myself, wow, these are the triggers that the internal triggers that the pastor has been talking about. Because these internal triggers, man, you got to get out there and do it yourself, cause me to want to get out there and make money for myself and do things for myself that the Lord, that I have entrusted the Lord to do for me. But because of that doubt and them old voices and them old things that I grew up believing, begin to rise in me, then that battle seems to be overcoming towards me. It's like I feel like I'm being overcome, or I don't feel so victorious, like I can pray and speak and confess. Because now I'm dealing with real life, and I can pray it and I can speak it to somebody else. But when it comes to me, God, I can't do it. I need help, because I'll find myself going back and yes, my mother told me to pray. I'll do that. But then I'll find myself what my grandfather told me. Don't wait on nobody. You get out there and get it for yourself. And that's all I've been doing. And I see that is a major problem in my life, and I bring it to the Lord. Lord, this is a battle, man. This is a fight for me.
Yes.
You know, that I need you to help me overcome. You have the power. I don't. And if you don't help me, if you don't bring me through this, I will not come. I will remain in this junk right here. So that's one of the triggers. That's what I'm dealing with right now. Amen.
I thank you for sharing that, Danny, because, you know, that's the argument that we're talking about. Sometimes the argument isn't necessarily from the right now triggers, but sometimes those triggers are empowered or have become the internal messages of your past. You know, I love how you shared your experience and your life. Mama said, baby, pray. God got you. Grandpa said, man, you a man, get out there and get your money. You know, go take care of that. So somehow or another, in both of these messages, they have impacted you differently. So now it's like, okay, how does these messages and who I am today, what I know today, the man that I am today, how does these messages fit in my life? Do they fit? Prayer doesn't fit my life, so I'm going to throw that away. Or maybe going out, just being it, maybe that don't fit, I'm throwing that away. Or do we reposition these messages to who we are? Do we tailor make these messages? Because remember, they're humans. They gave you the best that they knew how. And I love how you said, you know, but Grandpa didn't articulate, because I can understand. A man is trying to raise their sons and their grandsons to be a man. He don't want you to be lazy. He don't want you to sit around. He don't want you, maybe he's not saying don't trust in God, but he wants to also build up. But that's a message. That's a message that's internalized, and they've been in conflict. And now in this day, they're in conflict. So when there's that trigger, like you say, if someone's in need or I'm going through doubt and I don't have it to give it, you go through that Okay, do I just pray or do I just be about my business and go and get it? Now is the time that we have to learn what do I do with these messages? Personally, Brother Danny, I would say both of those messages are key. How you accept and digest those messages today. Mother says pray. And we know as believers, prayer changes things. But we also know, just as Grandpa said, faith is action. You got to do something. Now, what you do is going to have to be your decision. Without faith, we cannot please God. Faith is action. So yes, we're praying, but we're also moving in what we believe, because faith, whatever we do, it demonstrates our faith. If I believe that my loved one is going to be well, then I'm gonna do something to move in that direction. Or let's say I need a place to live, so I'm praying and I'm asking God, but at the same time I'm doing what Grandpa said. I'm going out there, I'm filling out applications, I'm finding out resources that's available to me in my situation. I'm going to link up with people, like God says in his word. I've given you physicians. Physicians are not just doctors, but they're also case managers. They're also judges. They're also attorneys. Let's get out there in God's green grace and not do things the way we used to, but let's find our way, because as we continue to move forward, God is going to honor each and every one of our faith steps. So I love that. Let's blend and see, how does that work for me today? Maybe the old Danny, where Grandpa said, I got out there and I made it happen, the best that I knew today. But again, experience and history teaches me that that's a behavior I need to stop. So let me change how I go get it. Let me change how I go and satisfy that portion. Let me deal with these internal messages in ways that are accurate for my life today. Not for them over 50 years ago, what they were going through, but how it fits today. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I can see that's that battle that we all go through. You don't want to do things the way you used to. So therefore that battle comes. Mama say pray. Grandpa say go get it. Well, Grandpa, I don't want to go get it like I used to, but at the same time, maybe I need to. And then that's when that argument starts going on. And that's what we were talking today. How do we deal with these triggers in a more successful way, so that we can stay in the side of change and grow? Because that's one thing, our changing of behavior opens doors and opportunities. When we're stopping those unhealthy behaviors, now we can walk in some opportunities that we didn't even know that was there for us. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else? How are you going to stop the thought? How are you going to stop it at the thought? Visualization, calling someone, using the snapping, changing your mind, or maybe you got something else you do. Go ahead, Sister Lupe.
For me, I have to fast.
Okay.
I have to just fast from food, from talking to people about it, because sometimes talking about it just kind of relives it and it feeds it.
Yes.
So definitely quiet time with God, and just completely, I have to fast. I have to submit my flesh.
Excellent. I love that. She found what works for her. I'm gonna stop it at the thought. I'm a fast. I'm a declutter. I'm gonna get all the clutter out. That's excellent. Anybody else? What are you gonna do to stop it at the thought? Stop the thought. Stop the thought so the cycle don't be continued. What else? Well, all right, guys, it is 11:03, but I want us to please know something, that when that thought comes, when that trigger happens and it triggers that thought to go do your unhealthy behaviors, let's be ready. Just like the word of God says, stay in readiness. Stay in readiness to counteract that thing. Stay in readiness. So I thank you so much, guys. I love you so much. You guys are some awesome, amazing people that are going to be phenomenal. You're going to be greater than you've ever been. Why? Because we're still building ourselves. We're bettering ourselves. There's nothing wrong with us. the fact of the matter is we're just bettering who we are, because life is all about building, growing, and abounding. So I love you guys. It's 11:03. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. God bless you all. And remember, live free, guys. Live free.